welcome back. Today's video is all about the Juniper Sweater, and to be more specific, about the lace panel that goes along the sleeves of the sweater. So this is the Juniper Sweater, and if you're here, it's probably because you are working this pattern. And this is the panel that goes from the top of the neckline all the way to the cuffs. Now today I'm going to show you how to make it and how to do the edging around it so that you can start working on it on your sleeve. This panel can also be used for other things. I've seen it used on scarves. For example, if you do many different strips and then join them together as you go, you can make a scarf out of that. You can use it as an edging, maybe for a blanket or something like that. So it's a really handy thing to practice. So in this video, you will know how to do it from the beginning to the end. And before we continue, in case you haven't done it, please remember to subscribe to my channel and go ahead and click that like button. And please tell me what you think about this technique. Do you like it? Do you enjoy it? Do you hate it? I want to hear from you, all right? Okay, let's get started then.
All right, so for that strip of flowers, we are going to start with our 4mm hook and DK weight yarn, which is what I used for that sweater. And we make a slip knot. And then I'm going to chain 3. So 1, 2, 3. And on that very first chain, I'm going to make a double crochet. So double crochet there and finish. So this is my very first cluster. Then after this, I'm going to chain 3 more. So 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to make another double crochet inside those previous stitches. So I'm going to show you. I'm going to yarn over, and in these little loops that I had from before, I'm going to insert my hook in there into both loops. So that's the top of the double crochet in the chain that I made before, and I'm going to make 2 double crochets worked together inside those 2 loops. Alright, and then I'm going to finish that as 1 stitch. Okay, I'm going to try that again. So next time I'm going to do a 2-part cluster. So that's chain 3 and 1 double crochet. So yarn over, and I'm going to insert my hook in those 3 loops that I have right there. So inside the chain, inside the top of the first double crochet, and inside the top of that second double crochet. And I pull through and make another double crochet. So this is a 2 cluster and this is a 3 cluster. Now I'm going to make a 3 cluster again. So 1, 2, 3. And I yarn over, and again I go inside that chain and inside that double crochet. And I make another double crochet there. And another one as well. Alright, and now that I have my 3 loops on my hook, I yarn over and pull through. So I have 2, 3, 2, 3, and then I go and do another 2. So let's do that again. So chain 3, 1, 2, 3, yarn over, put my hook inside the top of the 3 stitches, pull through and finish my double crochet, and then I make a 3. So one more time, chain 3 and yarn over, put my hook inside those 2 stitches and make 1 double crochet. Don't finish it, and then continue with the other double crochet. Yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and now I yarn over and I'm going to pull through all 3 loops together. So each flower is going to be made inside each of these clusters. So if you want to count the amount of flowers that you have based on the clusters, you need to count the 3 clusters or the sets. So I have 1, 2, 3 sets, which means I will have 3 flowers. Alright, and then I continue like that until I have the amount of flowers that the pattern calls for. For the one I am making, it calls for 28 flowers. So I will continue until I have 28 sets of clusters. So 28 double clusters and 28 triple clusters. So I'm going to continue, and I will see you here in a minute when I have all of my clusters ready. Alright, I have now completed my 28 sets of clusters. Now, make sure that you do have a triple cluster, double cluster, triple cluster, double cluster, triple, double, and just go check through your strip to make sure that you have alternate clusters, because if you have two clusters that are double together, it won't work. Alright, and it's okay if it twists. That's not a problem, that's gonna get fixed. Also, the length at the moment is a lot longer than the final length, so don't worry if you feel like your strip of flowers is way too long. Alright, so after we are here, each double cluster, this is going to be the center of each flower. So we're going to make 3 chains, 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to make a triple cluster inside this double one. So yarn over, and then I put my hook in between the double crochet and the chain in that gap. That's where I put my hook in, pull through, and start 1 double crochet, then another, and then another. So I have 3 double crochet started, which means that there are 4 chains on my hook. I yarn over, and then I pull through. There you go, that's my first cluster. And I'm going to do this again in the same hole. 1, 2, 3. And again in here. 1, 2, and 3. Oopsie. Alright, and now that I have all my chains, all my loops on my hook, I yarn over and pull through. So now, as a point of reference, every hole, every middle of the flower will have 6 petals. So there are going to be 2 on each side. So 1, 2, and then I'm going to put 2 on this side later, and then 1 on each side horizontally. So here I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then later on I'm going to put 2 on this side. So this side that I'm working on is finished on the flower, so I can continue to the next hole. And I'm going to make 2 more on this side, 2 more clusters. So I don't chain, I just yarn over, insert my hook, and make a cluster there. 1, 2, and 3, and pull through. Alright, and then chain 1, 2, 3, and make another cluster inside that hole. Oopsie. 1, 2, and 3, and pull through. Okay, so this second flower is finished. I have my 2 petals over here, and then 1 and 2, so I have 4, and later I will finish, right? So then I continue to my next double cluster, which is over here. I don't chain, I simply yarn over and make a triple cluster. 1, 2, and 3. Yarn over and pull through, and then chain 3, 1, 2, 3, yarn over, and make a triple cluster again. Okay, and this I will continue to do on every double cluster along my row. So I will continue doing this on my own, and then I will show you how it works. If you are doing this flower for something other than my sweater, that is perfectly okay. You can use it for so many things. This chain 3 can be as big as you want. You can change 6 if you wanted to make a bigger gap in here. This is really up to you how many you chain. For my sweater, I like 3 chains because I didn't want a very big gap. So I've left 3 only. But if you wanted to do more than 3, that's okay as well. So I will continue with the next double cluster, and I will make my 2 clusters here. So remember, it's cluster, chain 3, cluster. Move on. Cluster, chain 3, cluster. Alright, so I'll do one more and then I will continue to do them on my own. So I make a triple cluster. Whoopsie. 1, 2, and 3. And then chain 3. And another cluster in the same hole. So remember that we only work inside the double clusters. The triple clusters stay in between the flowers because those will work as petals in the future. Okay, so I will continue and I will see you at the end right before the last cluster. Alright, so I have finished going around my whole strip of clusters and I am now at the end. So this is my penultimate cluster, penultimate double cluster, and now I'm going to go on to my last one, which is this one over here at the end. So after this I've done my 2 triple clusters, so then I just do 2 on this one, right, like before. So I do 1, 2, and 3 double crochets and then join them together and then chain 3. 1, 2, 3, and I do another cluster in that gap as well. 2 and 3. Now remember how I told you that each center of the flower should have a 6 at the end. So let's look at this one. So I have, this is the center of the flower, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm missing 2 here on the other side, right? So because this is the corner, I need to go all the way around with 6 clusters around it. So at the moment I have 1 that was here before, and then 1, 2 that I've just made, and I'm missing 3. So those 3 I have to make them now. So I will chain again, 1, 2, 3, and then I make my next cluster. Alright, so now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I chain again, 1, 2, 3, and I make my next cluster. Alright, so then I chain again and I make my next cluster. Two and 3. Alright, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So then I will pull so I have enough space and I make my last cluster to have 6. 1, 2, 3, and 1 last cluster. Alright, so this is the end of my corner. As you can see, this is my center of the flower and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 petals all around it. And now I can continue to the next flower. So now that I'm finished here, I will not chain and I make 2 more clusters in the next center or in the next double cluster. 1, 2, 3. And finish. Now chain 1, 2, 3, and I make another triple cluster. And that's it. Now this flower is complete. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And I continue all the way around, making 2 more clusters in the centers. So to go to the next flower, I don't chain, I make a cluster. Chain 3. Cluster. And then I repeat that in each center. So cluster, chain 3, cluster, cluster, chain 3, cluster, cluster, chain 3, cluster. And you can easily identify where to do it now that you have worked in there before. Alright, so I'm going to continue working my clusters all the way to the end, and I will come back when my strip is finished. Alright, so now I am at the end of my strips of flower, and this is my last double cluster. So I will work 2 more triple clusters there. Just like with all the other flowers. I make 1 more. Okay, now I have my 6 petals, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So then I will chain 3 and I slip stitch in on top of that first cluster to join my round. And to keep it nice and tidy, I tighten it a little bit. Alright, so that is the end of my flower strip. Now I'm going to make an edging around it so that I can work on it on my next row. So if you are making this for my sweater, please do so with me. If you want to use this for something else, then your strip is finished, and you can do another one and join them at the chains if you wanted to make like a scarf or something like that. But for the sweater, we do need to make an edging to start working off it for the sleeves. Alright, so we have just slip stitch there. So I will chain 1 more and I will tighten that one so that it's not very visible. And I will make 4 single crochets in this chain space. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then I chain 2, 1, 2, and in the next chain space I make 2 single crochets. 1, 2. Now this is the corner. Now that I have my corner finished, everything else is going to be the same. So chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then 2 single crochets in the next chain space. 1 and 2. Again, chain 3, 2 single crochets. Chain 3, 2 single crochets in the chain space. Alright, and I will continue like that all the way to the end of my flower strip, and then I will work another corner on the other end. So I will show you how that one is worked. Alright, so I am at the end of my strip and I have made 2 single crochets in each chain space and 3 chains in between them. Now at the end I have made my 2 single crochets, and this cluster is in the middle, right? So I will make 4 single crochets in this one and in this chain space, and I will chain 2 before that. So 1, 2, now 4 single crochets in the next chain space. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, 116, 117, Now I skip that cluster and I make 4 single crochets in the next chain space. Alright, and then I chain 2 and I make 2 single crochets in the next chain space. And that is my corner. So this fourth one, the one on the edge, so the first one and the fourth one on this side, that belongs to the side. And the ones that are on top, so that would be 3 and 3, so 6 are on this end. Alright, so that's how the corners work. And then I continue on the side making 3 chains and 2 single crochets in the chain space. And I continue all the way to the beginning where I will do my other side of the corner just like the beginning. Alright, I'll see you in a minute. Alright, so I am at the last corner, and just like before, I have worked 2 single crochets in that last chain space. And now on this one, which is my corner chain space, I will make 4 single crochets, sorry. So I will make 2 chains, 1, 2, and then 4 single crochets in this last chain space. Okay, and then I will slip stitch in my first single crochet of the round, and I will tighten this one to make it invisible, and then I can cut my yarn and fasten off in there. Alright, so that's it. Now remember, this is your corner, so these single crochets at the end, so the first one and the fourth one on this side, will be the side part of the sides, and the other 6 single crochets are going to be on this face. And that is your flower strip for the sleeves.
Alright, well, I really hope that you are now comfortable with your lace panel and that you are ready to get started with the sleeves on your Juniper sweater. Please let me know if you have any questions. You can find my website at nomadstitches.com and also on Instagram at nomadstitches. And yeah, talk to you soon. Bye-bye.